Okay, so thanks for being here tonight. So I'm with Sherry and with Jen, and they are working parents. So I've been interested in the different experiences that people have in the pandemic. It's different for everyone. And I've had the chance to talk with different people. And tonight I'm talking to people who are working from home and also parenting and doing the schoolwork with their kids. So I wanted to hear about that. So Sherry and Jen, thank you so much for doing this. And
Thank you for having us.
so I'm hoping, first of all, you can just tell us like what you do. What is your job?
Sherry, you want to go first?
Sure. So I work for Zurich North America, and one of their affiliated companies that handles crop insurance. So it's called Rural Community Insurance Services, or RCIS as we call ourselves. And what we do is contract with the government to service and write crop insurance. And so my particular job, I work kind of in between our IT departments and then the rest of our customer base, which can be our offices. We have offices all over the country, and come up with what is sometimes a usable solution for our agents that use our software, and then also for our insureds that use our forms, and yet make sure that we're in compliance and following all of the government's procedures, because crop insurance is a federally subsidized insurance program. I've been doing it for over 25 years, 26 years. With the company I'm with, I've been with them since 2000. I started working from home in 2003, latter part of 2003. I'm very fortunate to be able to work from home, but the majority of what I do is I'm in conference calls and meetings all day long, and it's with various groups and working on decisions. And currently I'm on also a task force working on a new software that we're developing. So it's nice. I don't have to get fancy and go to the office every day, and it has been a blessing having that opportunity to work from home with young kids, because I can get them off on the bus and take them to school or pick them up early if I need to. A lot of times, and I think people who have met me coming and going, sometimes I sometimes do my conference calls on the phone and on the go with my headset on, and I'll be like, I'm in a meeting, hold on a minute. But I have to kind of do that because I also am a single mom and don't have kind of that backup support to help out. So yeah, so that's what I do. I sit in front of my computer. My kids, most of the time, were like, what do you do? Because I'm always at home, right? But yeah, I sit in front of, I have 3 big monitors in my office. Everybody, they always say I work for the CIA because I always look like I'm surrounded by technology. But I don't, anyway. And I'm on the phone nonstop. I usually start about 9 a.m. and end about 5. So.
Okay, so you were already, before all this started, you've been working at home for years.
Yes.
Okay. Yep. All right, and that's different for you, Jen, right? Because you weren't working at home.
Correct. Yep. So I'm fairly new to working at home. There were days that I could be remote. I'm capable of doing my job remotely, but I also manage a team of about 10 people. So I always just felt like I should be in the office as, a manager. I should be present. I'm over at UConn in the undergraduate admissions office, and I head up the marketing and event side of the recruitment. So I was pretty significantly impacted by COVID-19 because our job is always hectic because we're always either recruiting the next class to UConn, or we're what we call yielding the class to try to make those who we've admitted, make them want to choose UConn to come to. And obviously with the shift in the COVID pandemic happening right as we admitted a new class to the university, they couldn't visit. They couldn't come to an open house. They couldn't explore campus, reach out. So everything that I did, which primarily had to do with in-person events, needed to very quickly shift to virtual experiences, which we were not nearly as comfortable or familiar with, but we needed to get comfortable really fast and make things happen. Literally what I explain what would have possibly been, if thought out properly, a 2-year rollout plan happened in 3 weeks. Between getting vendors on board, getting things pushed through, learning new systems, plotting a course on how this was going to happen. I mean, it was amazing that it came together, and I am lucky to have a great team, but it was very stressful on top of obviously just the stress of the crisis of what was going on around us.
Okay, so both of you have big jobs and full-time, busy, full jobs. So you're doing that. Now you're both doing it at home, and your children are home and they're have schoolwork. So tell me about that. What's that like? How are they doing? How are you doing with them doing it? How's school at home?
School is tricky. School at home is tricky, and I know Sherry has students in every class, every school in Woodstock, and I have one in the elementary school and in the middle school, and obviously, well, maybe not so obvious, the middle school student is doing okay. She is a bit more self-sufficient, but honestly, almost because she has to be, because I literally only have time for her brother. And that sounds awful. And unfortunately, but she kind of knows that. But he requires, much more of my attention. He does have ADHD, so he has a 504 plan. He has the assistance of a teacher's assistant at the school, and can not do many things independently. So he really can't do independent work at home either. He needs my constant supervision to stay on task.
So how do you do that then? I mean, do you have to keep interrupting your work, or do you do schoolwork other times outside of work time?
That's a good question. It's almost a joke, and Sherry could probably relate to this because, like Sherry, the meetings don't stop for us. So it's a little laughable when you see a lot of, news reports or Facebook posts where it's like, the importance of a routine and establish that routine. So 9 o'clock is going to be this, and then 9:30 is going to be that. I can't do that because my meeting schedule changes every single day. So it's, I'm working with him in between meetings. And I'm on one side of the dining room table, he's on the other, so my conference call people can't see him on the other. Sometimes I flip over my laptop so they can see what's happening on the other side of the table, just for a laugh. But yeah, it's a lot of back and forth. He's in the room, or I've set him up on something, that he can try out while I'm juggling over here, but I don't have long stretches of time.
So that sounds stressful for everyone. Yeah.
And it honestly, I mean, it's not fair to him by any means, because he wants the attention. He wants, because he has so many questions. Again, he's just that's in his nature. He writes a sentence and he wants me to read the sentence. He doesn't want to just keep going with what the assignment is. So it's constant interruption. It's, constant kind of refocusing him, like, all right, try to write and I'll read it at the end, but that typically doesn't work.
Mm-hmm. And what's it like in your house, Sherry?
Well, chaotic. I'm not going to lie. I honestly feel like the first 2 weeks that they were out of school ran the best for us. The academy had a very smooth transition. They really had their stuff together and had, every kid already had an iPad. And so they just switched everything to online. And I've, been in the background on some of my oldest classes, and some of them are very interactive. Some of them are maybe not as interactive, but the teacher then is always like asking various questions to make sure they're there and they're checking in and they're doing stuff. Just even submitting assignments, I can see when things are submitted. It's all on my phone as a parent, so I can track it very closely. So I can say, okay, read, your algebra assignment isn't in yet, you got to get it in. And so that has been very nice. So he's up in his room most of the time. His school starts at 10. He gets done at about 2:30. And then he does homework until about 3:30 every day, sometimes 4, depending on what he's got due. My youngest is at the elementary school, 4th grader as well, and she is super Miss Independent. And she's up at 7:30, and if her teacher has her stuff posted and done, she's done by 10. Going back to the first 2 weeks of school, the elementary school sent home like 2 weeks worth of paper, like kind of packet. And that was so nice to kind of, okay, let's do this day. And I kind of mapped it all out, and she sat at her table. She did what she needed to each day. She didn't like going to the online stuff because it hasn't been busy enough for her. And I kind of have to agree. I think she, she could have more. So I think her actual schoolwork went down when it went to e-learning. But she is my kid that if it's due, I know she's going to do it. And I just check in at the end of the week and make sure, everything's in. And she only asks me questions once in a while. Usually it's what the art prompt is on Instagram for the day, and that's about it. But then I too have a son who has a different learning style and a different attitude towards school, and that would be my middle schooler. And he is very much like what Jen had mentioned she's going through. And I have him literally, I'm at my desk with my monitors, and he is 3 feet away from me on our home computer. And he has to be there sometimes all day with me if it takes that long to get through his 2 classes or whatever he has. I also had the first 2 weeks when he had paper things he needed to do. I had kind of mapped that out for him, and every day there was some like paper that needed to be completed, and he would have that, he'd work through that and get that done. Going to e-learning has been incredibly tough because as middle school, they have like their whatever normal 5 core classes, and then they have encore classes, and they all have different team pages, and I have to hold his hand on every assignment, everything that's due, because he's not going to look too hard to see what's due. He's going to rush through it as quickly as he possibly can. He thinks everything's stupid about school, hates everything about it, and just really has no interest in any of this e-learning stuff. So when he heard it was a pass or fail situation, now he's like, what do I care if I get a 60? I passed. I did it. He's just has a whole different attitude about school. So I literally have to hold his hand through everything. He'll say assignment's not there. I have to stop what I'm doing, go over to the computer, look it up, show him right there it is. This is the due date, and then he's like, well, I can't sign in. And then I'm like, it says right here. Like if you'd read, it says right here how to sign in. And that is how our day goes. And I was hoping that I kind of tried to put some structure around, like kind of on a real reward system for behavior. And if you can get these tasks done by, from 10 to 11:30, if you can just sit and focus, then you get extra phone time, with electronics and stuff. And some days it works, some days it doesn't. But it requires a lot of me to do as follow-up with him to make sure that he can get that goal done, and then I have to stop what I'm doing if he has to verify that he did. And so it's been a lot of hand-holding, and I can't wait to send him back to school as soon as I can. I think a school for him is a better environment than being at home. It's too relaxed here. It's as far as structure and a full day, and he knows this isn't, I don't know. I don't want to say that it doesn't count, because it is counting, but it's not like as big as the demands of getting an A or a B, or, that kind of having that behind him to kind of push him through. So it's been very stressful. That's all I can say. Usually by 3:00, I need him out the door to go do something outside.
Yeah, that's actually, I was going to ask about that, because, so it's interesting. I mean, of course, this makes sense that just in the same way that for all the adults, it's a different experience. It would be different for each kid, depending on their learning style and just, kind of how they learn and how they adapt to new situations. So that's really interesting. So, okay. So then school ends, like, how do you, what do you do for yourself? Like, how do you regenerate so you can start a new day and not run away from home?
Is wine's acceptable answer, right?
I'm like, do you want us to be honest?
Yeah. Are we being graded here?
Yeah. I do two things. One thing from a healthy perspective, my best friend and I have been trying to do a walk every day. And that has been as good as if it's not raining. So it ends up being 3-4 times a week, even on weekends. And we go early in the morning, or if that doesn't work, and it's raining, then we'll go, after supper or something like that and get in a quick walk. So that's been a sanity check, just to have another adult in my case to kind of talk to. And then I do have to say, I've had a glass of wine or two at the end of the day.
We're pretty good walkers here too. But I don't know if that answers your question for me though, because I don't typically leave the kids at home when we walk. They usually come with, because they are not good or motivated at exercising themselves. So they have to come along, or Henry would not have exerted enough energy for the day for sure. And Phoebe is a very relaxed person, and is perfectly fine, just sitting and not really exerting much energy. So they have to get out, and it's kind of a forced family walk, but it doesn't, to your point, Sue, doesn't provide me with some solace and some time away. And a part of, I laugh because I'm like, well, it's nice that they like me, because they always seem to want to be around me. It's like every night is, can we watch a family movie, or what are we going to do for this? And can we play a game? But it's just, by the end of the day, there hasn't been any unwinding for me. So it's like, all right, I've made breakfast, lunch, dinner, worked all day, taught you all, and now you want to play Monopoly after I've cleaned the kitchen, and I don't really want to play Monopoly anymore. I just want to chill out, or I want to read a book or watch a show that I want to watch, or veg out for a minute, because I haven't had that time where they have done a lot of vegging out through the day, because while I've been working and school isn't 8 hours worth of school, they are on screens, they are watching shows, they are playing games. So the second I have now some time, they see that, oh, mom's available. It's like, let's swoop in, like, and she'll pay attention to us as though I haven't been all day. But so that's been tricky too.
Absolutely. I think that's a big part of this, is that with all the stay at home, it's a lot of home time, and not like, and, if I think all of us need like some just me time, and that sometimes that can be really hard to get.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Very much. I've found too that my, especially my youngest, is like wants to hug more and be more needy and more like, if I sit down on the couch in the evening, she's just like all over me. And
Same.
I love it, but at the same time I'm like, I just need a few minutes.
Right.
But it's the same way here. At the end of the day, we are, we play cards, or we've been playing games, or we started watching Parks and Recs from the beginning, because my kids have never seen that.
It's a good one.
Yeah, so we're on season 4 now. So, but it's just a good way to wind down for the day for us. Like, we watch, 20-minute episodes, and then it's like, okay, bedtime, just a nice way to close it out. I will mention though, when we were talking about conference calls. So I usually am on, mute when I'm not talking, but I talk a lot during surprise, in our conference calls for work. And I've had a couple of occasions where I thought I was on mute, but I wasn't. And with the constant interruptions, like, I'm dueling it all the time. I'm like over here, and then I'm on the phone, and I'm over here. So there's been a couple times where I've been scolding my child while not on mute. And so now I just refer to him very nicely on our conference calls as the terrorist, because that's what I call him, is he's the terrorist. Because it's always he's coming in to negotiate something, He's trying to negotiate a deal on some, like, well, if I don't do my health right now, and I like it's so my coworkers know him as the terrorist. So
I will say, even though, Sherry and I have similar aged children, except she has a +1. I have a coworker who has 3 very young children, who I think she has 3 under 9, with her youngest being 2. And again, a demanding job, and we do a lot of, Zoom or WebEx meetings where we're face to face. And I, as hard as I think I have it, I can't imagine what those who have really young children are going through, who are working parents, because I would say 80% of the time when I'm on a call with her, the baby's crying in the background, and it's just an awful feeling. I'm sure she feels awful that the baby's crying because this is her child. I feel awful that I'm the person taking her away from her child, who's crying in the background, and it feels really yucky.
Yeah, I think that's a big point. Again, it's that whole thing about everyone's having a different experience.
Right.
So that whatever experience, I'm having, I have to realize that other people are having a really different experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We were just thinking about that on one of my morning walks, because we pass a family that has 2 toddler twins, and, they're out super early in the morning taking a walk. And we just laugh, because we're like, oh, like, I would never want to go back, because that is so crazy. But at the same time, I'm like, oh, at least they napped,
Right, yes. And her son does nap for a really long time.
Yeah, it's like,
in the afternoon.
There's a plus side to everything.
Yes.
All right. Well, I think we'll probably end it there. I know we could talk. I know there's a lot more, and I know there's a lot more stories, but this is really helpful, and I think people will find it very interesting just to hear what your experience is. And I give you a lot of credit for all that you're doing work and parenting and schooling and taking care of yourselves too, I hope. So thank you. Thank you
You're
so
not alone, parents. We're here. Sherry and Jen show anytime.
Yep.
All right, thank you so much. And I appreciate your time, and I'll talk to you again soon.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.